Hi, I'm Mary Beth Lynn, your systems and delegation coach, and I love getting to help travel advisors go from overwhelmed to being in control CEOs. I have a bunch of free resources for you as you go through Prep for Wave Week. You can scan the QR code or text the number below. I want to send you a couple really awesome things that are going to help you not be overwhelmed when the wave hits.
Running a travel business can be overwhelming, but imagine if there was a single tool that helped you look professional, stay organized, was easy to use, and affordable. That's just what Travefy does. Travefy gives you the essential tools you need to look like a travel biz pro. Travefy is the most trusted system used by over 30,000 travel brands worldwide. So get started with a system that helps you get back to the joy of planning travel and run your travel business like a pro with Travefy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of Prep for Wave Week. It is sales day. There are 3 presentations, so we might be your first or your middle or your last. If you are really ready to boom when it comes to sales, I know sometimes we shy away from this. Sometimes the marketing aspect of our business is a little bit more fun. And I definitely can relate to that because, I do love talking about marketing, but marketing isn't much without sales because that's why you got into this business. That's why you decided to be a business owner and not just have a job within the travel industry. So, this session will hopefully give you a big boost of confidence to sell more and not be so afraid to sell. So, I am super excited to welcome back friend, and I do some coaching with Michelle. Also, her name is Michelle DeNio. She has been on Prep for Wave Week before. So, welcome back, Michelle.
It's awesome to be back. I think it's been a couple years, but I'm excited to be here. It's a different topic and yeah,
Yes.
just a lot's changed. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I know. I think last time we were talking about business capacity, which I think
hmm
is a really important one, especially when we come to talking about sales. For those that have not met you yet, though, can you just give a brief background about what exactly you do and how you got into business?
Yeah, so I'm a business strategist and I work primarily with solopreneurs in the online space, covering all different ranges of service-based, but service-based business owners typically for the most part. And, my background is in operations, accounting, business development, and sales. And so I worked in the, engineering, manufacturing space, female and a male dominated industry. And honestly, I would say I'm kind of like an accidental entrepreneur. We moved from Syracuse, upstate New York to Florida, just kind of on a whim, making a massive life change, my husband and I. And I went from, and the job market here in Florida is just not what it was in New York.
Mhm.
And so I started doing a ton of networking and just trying to meet people. We were new in the area. And that just turned into pick my brain session after pick my brain session. And finally, somebody kind of sat down and looked at me and was like, well, how much do I owe you? And I was like, I don't, I don't know what you're talking about, right? Like, what do you mean? Like, we're just networking. And so it kind of evolved from there, in all honesty. Like that's really where it started, is just I was just using my knowledge and just, found myself, coaching and strategizing with people in these networking events. And so
Mhm.
it really just I took all of the skills that I had learned throughout my career and just working my way up the ladder and turned it into this consulting.
Love that. Because even though you're not within the travel industry, that's actually kind of what I love about bringing you. And I have another subject matter expert this week because you can like see what's working overall in sales specifically for
hmm
today's discussion and see how we can kind of adapt it for our own situations within the travel industry. So I know that you've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different types of business owners these past couple of months, because this year was a very weird year, or has been a very weird year. So,
You
what are
are
you kind of
telling me.
noticing as the big things that have shifted overall in sales and how we as business owners need to be making sales now?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest shifts is that people have gotten burned a lot. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of distrust, there's a lot of people just really feeling like they've put money into things that did not benefit them, that they didn't
Mhm.
get their ROI on. And so there's that side of it. I also think, the economy is playing a role into it. And so people are a little bit um, more discerning with their money.
Yeah.
I think the buying decision making process is much longer. I think we've moved kind of from like an impulsive buy situation because, in strong economies, there's a little bit more money. There's, obviously, I think in any industry and in any economy, there's always people that are doing well. There's always people that are struggling. But from what I'm seeing a lot in the online business space of service-based individuals, it's been a little bit more difficult. And I think people are just being a little bit more discerning with their money. And so
Yeah.
I know even personally, I mean, I've been doing this 8 years. I mean, I used to just buy, I mean, without much thought, quite honestly. And now it's really a lot of pause, a lot of thinking about it, a lot of let me really make sure this is what I need. Let me,
Mhm.
they really want to make sure that they're making the right decision. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people have made the wrong decisions, and so they're really a lot more discerning. I'm seeing that. And I also really one of the biggest things that I'm seeing as a difference in one of the conversations I'm having over and over, and I think that this plays a role big time in the travel industry, is that people want to feel supported, right? Like I think if
Mhm.
it's not so much that they're not willing to part with their money, but when they part with it, they want to know that they are supported, that they can get a hold of you, that they have access to you, that they can
Yeah.
talk to you, right? Because everything is so automated in AI and all of these things. And people are just wanting to know, like, I just want to talk to you. I want to know if I put my money there, that if there's something that comes up, there's support behind the investment is one of the biggest things I think I'm seeing right now.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that you put that too, because that I labeled last year as the year of specificity, and I called this year the year of humanity. For that reason is that there's so much technology and tools which are really great and they have their place and we need them, but that's what's going to make the difference between just an average entrepreneur and the extra entrepreneur, is like the care and the personalization that you have for somebody, as
Mhm.
opposed to like just being an order taker in your business.
Yeah, exactly. And we are living in a world of AI, right? And AI has taken over in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of people that are like, and myself included, I go to Chat GPT a lot, to
Mhm.
ask questions and get recommendations. And there are things that I probably would have paid for in the past. But at the end of the day, Chat GPT can't personalize something, right? And so, even I was just having a conversation yesterday with a client, and I was really going back and forth with her in the DMs and just really helping her work through a sales situation. She was trying to
Mhm.
like work this new prospect and have this conversation. And, she could have asked Chat GPT what to say, but at the end of the day, it's not going to help really speak to what that person on the other side of the conversation was going through. They don't know that, right? Like in Chat GPT is always going to agree with you. They're always going to tell you that you're right.
Yes.
And so it's like, she needed somebody to kind of say to her, like, no, this is not the right approach. And you need to approach from a place of value. You need to provide a little bit more service here. So I just think that again, it's more about that supportive, really feeling like people are really feeling valued for what they're paying for.
Yeah, I love that you said ChatGPT tells you you're right even if you're wrong, because I'm like, even when you tell ChatGPT that it's wrong, it's like, you're right. I am.
I know.
I am wrong.
I know. It's like there's pros to that, right? Because it's like it always tells you you're right, but it's like, no, no, like I need you to be a little opposition here for me. I'm trying to, but anyways, so, but
Yeah.
that's a topic for another day.
Yeah. Yeah. Because especially when we're thinking about going into sales and like being more proactive, because that's really what Prep for Wave Week is all about, is to have like this more proactive stance. Kind of knowing this, I know we have a different session that's going to talk more about client experience and kind of differentiating yourself. But I think the hard thing with sales a lot tends to be that whole mindset piece that we have that we have to sell, and the whole sales as being a service and you providing the solution. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that for people who might like feel combative about sales, like know that I have to do it, but I don't want to be the sleazy car salesperson that does it either. Like,
Mhm.
how can we get into that mode to like really prepare ourselves better to be better salespeople for 2026?
Yeah, this is a huge shift, I think, for a lot of people. And I think one of the most important things is to remember is that people are hiring you because they don't want to do it themselves. Right. And I think that's the
Boom.
biggest thing is like there's a reason if people wanted to do it themselves, they would not have reached out to you, right?
Yeah.
They wouldn't even be on your radar because they would just be doing it themselves. And so I think that it's really important to remember that we are not really selling. We are providing a service that they don't want to do, or they don't have the time for, they don't have the patience for, they don't have the education for, right? Like, especially when it comes to travel, right?
Yeah.
They're hiring you because you're the expert in the resorts. You're the expert in, all of the different touristy locations and the things to do, or the cruises, or the spots, or whatever it is, but it's, again, like they don't know what they don't know. And
Mhm.
so they're hiring you because they don't want to know it. Right. Like, I think that's what's most important. And so when you can shift your mindset to that of like, I don't want to figure this out, right? Like we just recently even we went to Curacao and we did hire a travel professional, and it was not like the best experience if I'm being honest. But again, like we hired her because it was like, go do the research for us. Where should we
Mhm.
stay? What should we be doing? Like, where's the good food? What is this? And had she researched it a little bit more, I don't know that we would have gone to that island if I'm being honest. But
Mhm.
and just in general, like understanding weather, like this is your opportunity to really personalize this and say, like, hey, I know, by the way, do you realize that like in the Caribbean, June is mosquito season and there's no screens on that house? That type of thing. Like, again, like it's a place of service and personalization. And when it's personalized, it doesn't feel salesy. It doesn't feel salesy to present it, and it doesn't feel salesy to receive it because it's a personalized, like, hey, I was thinking about you, or hey, I looked into this. I don't know if you've seen this. I don't know if I don't know if you've thought of this, because again, there's always things that we hadn't thought about. And I think that is one of the biggest mindset shifts, because I know that people talk all the time about like, oh, it's a place of service. But again, like that to me is not a big enough mindset shift. I think the bigger mindset shift is understanding that if I wanted to figure it out on my own, I would have done it by now.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not. So I'm asking you to do it. And also, shifting your mindset to like understanding life is busy. Everybody is so freaking busy right now.
Right.
Everybody has something going on. Kids are busy. You've got the sandwich generation, you've got parents, they're taking care of kids. Life happens. I mean, recently, like all summer long, my mom was in the hospital. And so I appreciated when people followed up with me. I appreciated when people reminded me, because my mind was elsewhere. You know what I mean? And these are things that I needed and I wanted, and I really did want to say yes to. So I really appreciated when somebody followed up or asked for the sale, because it was like, yeah, you're right. You know what, I meant to do that. I've just been crazy. So I think it's really when you can shift it from that perspective and really think about the fact that they reached out to you for a reason, and that is that they don't want to do it themselves.
That I'm like, there's so many notes that I wrote here because first of all, I didn't tell you, but we're doing super engagement throughout these sessions. So there's a secret word, and the random secret word, you mentioned mosquito. So that's the secret word for this session, travel advisor. So write that down.
There you
So I
go.
know, totally random. But you mentioned that personalization. You mentioned also that that's kind of what distinguishes one travel pro from another. So it makes me think a lot more about niching down. And I didn't think that we were going to be talking about niching so much in here, but I feel like that is a sales factor or something that you can use to get even better at sales and customizing the experience for your client is maybe if the travel professional that you had worked with specialized in just Caribbean islands, they would have known better what island to put you on, what experiences, especially if they asked you like more tailored questions during the planning process too. But that can only come like if you're an expert in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely think right now in this economy, niching down is playing a big role. Just because, again, there's so much noise, there's so much information. We're on information overload. We're on decision fatigue is real. And so the more I can help you do all the things and be all the things to every person, that messaging is falling a little bit flatter. And I'm
Mhm.
not a I've been anti-niche for 8 years. So I'm not a big,
No way.
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of niching in all honesty. I had not been. Um, because I feel like sometimes it can put people into a box. And I do
Yes.
think that that does create some issues where like they niche too far. They get a little bit too niche specific, and then they really kind of box themselves in. But like, for example, one of the things that I have done this year is really start talking a lot in my messaging about how I work specifically with those with ADHD, and I specialize in that. And
Hmm.
again, it's not really changed what I do or who I work with. It's just calling it out a little bit more because people are scrolling so fast or they're
Hmm.
barely reading it. So like when you can pull out those little keywords that resonate immediately with your ideal client, I do think that niching in this economy is beneficial. And I do think, from a travel perspective, again, the world is so vast and there's so many travel pros out there. And so it's like, who do you go to? And again, like you said, there's people that specialize in cruising, there's people that specialize in, European vacations. I talked to another travel pro recently and she only wants to book high-end travel. And I just appreciated that. I was like, that's cool. Like, I'm not booking a high-end European vacation right now, but I love that I know that you're that person,
That person. Yes. Yeah. Because you also talk a lot about hiring, and I feel like that's its own mindset shift, especially when it comes to the world of travel, because there are so many people who lead with, I don't charge any fees, or it's free to book your vacation with me. And I'm like, you are doing a disservice not only to the travel industry, but all entrepreneurs. And I feel like that's kind of like what gets in the way of this like sales mindset that you need to have is you're not even taking yourself seriously. How are other people supposed to take you seriously, especially when this is a job that somebody is supposed to hire you for?
Yeah, I think, in the travel industry, of course, I'm not an expert in the travel industry, but I know enough about it. But, if you're just booking hotel rooms or cruises or something like that, but in reality, again, the people that are hiring because they don't want to think about it. They
Mhm.
don't want to research it. So they're not looking for free. They're not looking for like, oh, let's just book this all inclusive and not have to pay for it or whatever, right? Like even that, like they're they don't want to think about the entire process. Like, is it better? I mean, the amount of time that we spent just recently booking that trip to Curacao, working through flights to figure out like, is it better to drive to
Yeah.
Miami and how much is it going to cost? And do we go to Orlando? Like there was just all these things. It's like, that was hours of our time that we could
Yeah.
have just paid somebody who could have easily presented it to us and said, just go do this. And we would have said yes, right?
Yeah.
Like decision fatigue is real and people are really just in a lot of ways wanting to be told what to do. And also too thinking about like what I just said of like saving us hours and hours and hours of time researching this to the nth degree and still not feeling confident that we made the right decision. But
Hmm.
also, if you can present how much they're going to save by having this detailed plan, knowing exactly where to go, they're not going to spend time in the airport trying to figure out where the rental car is or should they Uber or any of these things, right? Like there are ways that you can also present to them how this investment is going to save them time, energy, money, and resources on the back end while
Yeah.
through their vacation or wherever they're going in their travels, so that it just makes it all seamless. And people will pay for time. People will pay for time. They will pay for ease. They will pay for seamless, right? Because nobody's got time or patience right now for complications. They
Yeah.
just don't.
Yeah, because that's what I feel is the difference between somebody who's gonna DIY and somebody who's gonna hire it out. Like somebody who's gonna hire it out doesn't have any reservations. Like they are in it. They are gonna, as long as certain parameters I feel kind of line up and you're the right person for them, they are going to invest in you and you take care of it. Of course, there's always going to be the certain people who want to be like, I want to do everything, so
Hmm.
let me handle all the things. But um it's getting me to think about what you keep saying too about sales being part of the job and how we can't shy away from sales. Like we do all the other things. There's the finances, which you might not like to do, but that's a necessary part of being a business owner.
Hmm.
You have to put yourself out there, do the networking so that you have clients coming in the door. But then you can't forget that just because you're telling people, people can book a vacation, book a retreat, book a travel consultation with you, you can't not ask for the sale at the same time.
Yeah, I think, I think there was a time and a place where the consumer did a lot more reaching out. Like, I'm interested in hiring this. And so they did the reach out, right? But I do think that right now that is shifted. And that is another mindset shift I think a lot of business owners need to make right now, is that it is not the consumer's job to reach out to you. It is your job to follow up. If you really want that sale, it is your job to go and get it, right? Like it is, that's just the reality of it. If you
Mhm.
want it, go get it. Because if
Mhm.
you don't, somebody else will, right?
Yeah.
And the person that reaches out with that personalized follow up, with that, saying like, here's how, I remember our conversation. I looked into a few things. Here's what I think. Do you want to move forward? Right? Like that person is the one that's going to get the sale. And waiting around, it's just, again, people are too busy. There's too much information. If you think they remember your name, I'm sorry, they won't. Like
Mhm.
there's very few people that actually remember that, or especially if they've talked to too many people or they don't remember where they wrote your name down. I mean, I can't tell you how many times you see, you go to do something, it's like, oh my gosh, I know I talked to this person, but I like cannot for the life of me remember what her name was, and I have no idea how to get a hold of her. Right.
Mhm.
And so again, like this is what I'm saying, is it's not on the consumer. It's up to you. If you want that sale, go ask for it. Go follow up for it. Like go be of service. But really, sales is part of the job. It's
Mhm.
just part of the job. And I think one of the best analogies is always like when you go to any of these drive-throughs, Dunkin', Starbucks, any of them, right? Or even at a restaurant, they always ask you, do you want, hi, welcome to Starbucks. Can I interest you in the new blah, blah, blah? You know what I mean? They're selling you the minute you walk up to that drive-through. And
Mhm.
they're doing it because that's their job. If they don't sell you that
Ooh.
said thing, they don't get paid, right? Like that is their job. Same with the waiters and the servers that come up and like, hey, can I get you any coffee or dessert? They do that because that's their job. That is what they get paid to do. You get paid to ask for the sale in the same way. And if
Yeah.
you can shift your mindset and look at it like it is my job to present and ask for the sale, and that's how you get paid, then the whole world shifts. People get sold to every day, all day, especially the people that drive through the Starbucks line every day. Every single
Yeah.
day, they get asked the same question and they say
Yeah.
no, but they keep going back, right? And every once in a while, somebody's like, you know what? Actually, I do think I want that, right? Like, so
Right.
don't think of sales as like being this annoying person, right? Because we get sold to every day and we think nothing of it. Nothing.
I'm so glad that you that you said that because it's so true because I need to change my habits, but I am guilty of going into plenty of different drive-throughs and I never think once like, why did they ask me to upgrade my fries or get a large like soda? I'm like, they just
We get
ask
so
me. I say yes or no. That's the
some days it's a yes, some days it's a no, but you go back even on the days that it's a no.
That is, wow. I feel like for myself, this was a big realization. So I'm like, I'm hoping travel advisors are seeing this similarly too. Like, if we don't bat an eye to the Starbucks person or the drive-through person who is trying to upsell us or the server, because same, I would
Or the
think of the
nails. How many
server.
people go and get their nails done? They
Yeah,
always try to upgrade you to the higher package, the pedicure. When you go in for a pedicure, they try to sell you a manicure. When you get a
yeah,
manicure, they try to sell you your eyebrow waxing, right? Like sometimes we say yes, sometimes we say no, but we still go back to the same place next time.
correct. Correct. Yeah, because that makes me think I used to work in restaurants and servers are always trying to upsell to help increase their gratuity at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say
Because
yes,
that's
you
how they
say
get
no,
paid.
and
That's their
I
job.
that also goes into like a topic I think I recorded it earlier this year called like entrepreneurial NATO, not being attached to the outcome that I get from somebody who mentioned it like in this dating space, that if somebody says no, to not have your feelings heartbroken over it, like they made a decision, they might be doing something else different, but like the world doesn't revolve around if somebody did this or that. There's another client that you can sell to. There's another place that you can find more clients to sell to come. Like, not to be like everything rains on this one thing.
There is, but here's another thing that I think people miss out on is a massive opportunity with sales is just because somebody says no doesn't mean it's no forever. It
Yes.
could just mean it's not right now. And where I think
Mhm.
a lot of people, again, this is where I say it's your job. It is your job to stay in touch with that person. It is your job to keep the door open. I cannot tell you the amount of people that come to me after they've said no and they come back because whatever they said yes to didn't work out, right? It happens in every industry. People
Mhm.
have bad experiences and they're looking for somebody else. And if you stay in touch with them and you keep that door open, they come back and they feel welcome to come back. But if you
Right.
slam the door and you move on, there's no chance that they can come back. And if you've worked hard to build that relationship, keep it. Keep
Yeah.
it. Just because somebody is saying not right now doesn't mean it's forever. And so many people take it so personally and they move on. And in reality, it's just a simple, hey, how did your vacation go? I saw your pictures. It looked amazing. Here's the thing, especially in the travel world, of course, people are going to only post the positives, right? But
Mhm.
if you reach out to them, what is going to happen? They're going to be like, well, yeah, it did look amazing. But what we didn't see is the fact that we got attacked by mosquitoes 24 freaking 7 because there was no screens, right? Like you're not going to see that. And like, I wish somebody would have told us that. And I really wish we would have had a heads up. And, again, you leave the door open so that the next time when they are booking, and because it's inevitable, they're going to book another trip at some point, you can create a better experience for them, right?
Mhm.
But only if you leave the door open.
Yeah, which kind of leads into that follow up and nurturing, because I would say the only person that you would not want to keep in your space is somebody that's been a PETA to
Mm-hmm.
you. But if for the most part they've been pleasant to work with, you still want to keep them in your atmosphere. And it's not like you're every month going, you ready? You ready? You ready? But it's doing that service part without really being like too attached at the moment.
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between nurture and follow up, right? And I think a lot of people mix them and a lot of people try to do both at the same time. And that's why it doesn't go
Mhm.
well. If you're going to nurture, nurture means continuing to build a relationship. If you're going to follow up and ask for the sale, follow up and ask for the sale. But you cannot do both together. They don't
Mhm.
work. That's what people don't like, right? That's where people start to feel that ick. That's where it doesn't get received well, right? And so I think when it comes to like continuing to build a relationship, especially if it's somebody, whether you've done business with them or not, um, it's not that hard to be like, hey, I see you just, like kids went back to school, just checking in. How's everything going? You know, I can't believe that like when we booked that trip, they were 5. Now they're a senior or, 7
Yeah.
or a 10, or they look so big, right? Like people post pictures, just do your due diligence, stay on top of them. Hey, I saw you got a new job. Congrats, right? Like find reasons to reach out and nurture that relationship. I mean, even looking at like this relationship right here, with you and I, you've done a few of my coaching programs, then you go off and do your own thing, and then you've come back. But just because you didn't sign up for that next program or you didn't, go on retainer with me, we've maintained a relationship. And
Right.
now this is the second time I've been on prep for Wave Week, right? Like there's maintaining relationships opens up so many doors of opportunity. And
Oh
maybe
yeah.
that person is never going to book another trip, but they're going to refer you to their friends, or it's all about staying top of mind. And then, but on the flip side, if you're following up, go straight for the follow up. I hate when people say to me, like, hey, Michelle, I see da 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 da. And then it's like, yeah, create this small talk that nobody has time for. And then it's like, well, just wondering, are you still interested in booking that retreat? Like, did you do? No. Like, hey, Michelle, just checking in with you. Like, where are you at with the retreat? Is it something you're still looking into or not? Right? Like,
Mhm.
people, and I've had this conversation so much, people hate small talk. Right. So,
Yeah.
again, if you're going in and following up, go in and follow up and be direct about it. Or if somebody, and one of the ways that I find helps with people who struggle with follow up is on your call. Like if you're having a nice conversation with somebody and they're telling you, I want to think about it, or thanks for this information, the easiest way you can do this is set the precedence from the beginning. Like, hey, absolutely no problem. What about this? How about I reach back out to you in about 3 weeks? Like, I'm just going to touch base with you. I'll make a note. Let me just touch base with you in 3 weeks and just kind of see where you're at if I haven't heard from you. Does that sound good? Right? You've just now set the precedence and gotten the permission to follow up. So now they're expecting it, even if they forget.
Mhm.
It's, hey, it's been 3 weeks. We mentioned this. Like the last time we talked, I told you I was going to follow up with you in 3 weeks. Just checking in. How's things going? Right?
Yeah.
Like ask for the permission and set the tone so that they expect it. And it makes it so much easier.
Perfect. Perfect. I know that we are wrapping up right now or getting ready to wrap up. If there was like one big tip that you could tell any entrepreneur, travel industry or not, like what is your big tip about going into 2026 with less fear of making sales?
Oh, one tip with less fear of making sales. I think honestly the tip is really in that mindset shift of that business requires sales, right?
Mhm.
Business requires sales or you're not a business. If you don't have sales, it require, you don't have a business. So number 1, but also two, remembering that what you are providing is speed for the most part. Most of the time, people hire for speed, right?
Mhm.
Yes, we can do it ourselves in any industry, coaching, whatever. People pay me because they want the faster route to where they're going. They
Mhm.
don't want to try to figure it out, right? So understanding that that's what you're providing is you're
Mhm.
providing that fast track. You're providing that express lane. Think about like highways. People pay for the express lane because they want to get where they're going faster. So it's not, if they didn't want to, they wouldn't be interested, right?
Right.
And so you have to just remember it from that perspective is that you are providing a service that helps people get where they want to go faster. And
Mhm.
most people are willing to pay for that.
Yeah. Love that. So I know you've got something up your sleeve that we're going to be sharing with the travel advisors to get a little bit more, a little dose of being in your world. So what is that we can share with them?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I created that I really am loving and feel very strongly about was just to create a really low lift community. It's called Back Pocket Insights. And it's one of these places where I feel like everybody deserves a strategist in their back pocket, right? And it was and that's what I really wanted, was just a place where people and business owners, travel pros or not, could come together and just feel seen, heard, supported, and understood. And it's been so fun. It's fun. It's getting people talking about their offers. It's creating confidence. And yeah, that's what's kind of, I'm loving it, and I'm rolling with it. And I think it's a great opportunity to stay connected, to feel supported, and in just a really low lift way.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and I'll link that. You'll definitely find me in Back Pocket Insights because I signed up for that this summer because at the price point, it was kind of a no-brainer to get extra support within the business as well. So I'm really
Yeah.
glad that you kind of created that and that you're also sharing things on your own because you have a private podcast feed for that so that people
Hmm.
can tune in on like more intimate items that you might not share on your main
Correct.
podcast feed
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. More specific questions, just things I'm seeing in the industry, that type of thing.
Yeah. Where's the best place to connect with you if any travel pros are like, okay, you're my type of person. Let's be friends.
Yeah, across pretty much all the social platforms except for Instagram, which I know a lot of
Okay.
people loved. I'm there. It's not one I check on a regular basis, but LinkedIn, Facebook, and Threads are the three that I hang out
Uh-huh.
on the most.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for being here again on the fifth annual year. This is
Congrats
really
on that.
exciting. Thank
Yeah, it is.
you.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so happy you asked me to come back. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. And this was a really timely topic because I know this is the one thing that you're like, I'm just going to learn some more. I'm going to go to supplier training some more. I need to build my website first. And it's just go and make the sale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
All right.
Awesome.
You will see a link below for Back Pocket Insights. You'll probably also see it in the swag bag, everybody. And then remember, we have our pseudo virtual trade show happening if you haven't already seen everybody's presentations in there. But I hope to see you later on if you're in study hall or tomorrow at Growth Day, everybody. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Take care.